Imagine a night in the Topkapi palace where the echo of eunuchs' footsteps reverberates through marble corridors. Ayşe, the young wife of an Ottoman commander, torn from her husband's arms after a battlefield defeat, stands trembling before Kösem Sultan, the Sultan's mother, in the harem's half-shadows. Her eyes, brimming with terror, gleam in the flicker of oil lamps. The heavy scent of musk hangs in the air, mingling with the chill of stone beneath her bare feet. Suddenly, a stifled cry of humiliation as the ritual begins on the ruler's command. This isn't passion, it's a weapon of vengeance. Why did Kösem Sultan's forbidden sexual practices with commanders' wives strike fear into even the Ottoman Empire's mightiest warriors? These taboos, buried in the harem's depths, shattered spirits and empires alike. Today, we reveal the censored truth about secret power rituals where women became pawns in a game of revenge and control, drawn from 17th century chronicles and archives. The palace, a symbol of glory, hides cries in its shadows, the aroma of incense and silk stained with tears. But this is only the beginning of the horror lurking behind the empire's splendor. What awaited Ayşe in this machine of terror? Subscribe so you don't miss these shocking revelations. The Ottoman Empire under Kösem Sultan, peak of power, myths of the wise valide pulling strings behind sultans like a master puppeteer. Golden palaces of Topkapi gleamed, armies crushed foes on battlefields, Istanbul throbbed with triumphant glory. But what if that shine masked rot? Let's cut to the truth. Meet Ayşe, 22-year-old wife of a commander from Anatolia, a fierce woman with fire in her eyes, raised on windswept hills, dreaming of freedom beyond gilded cages. She wasn't some fragile flower, she was a fighter, whispering rebellion songs to her husband Mehmed, a legendary general loyal yet ambitious. But after his defeat in the Anatolian campaigns, everything shattered. Ottoman forces swept in, and Ayşe was ripped from the camp like spoils of war. Black-robed eunuchs, daggers at their belts, bundled her onto a ship bound for Istanbul. Her heart pounded like war drums. Why? Whispers spread of Kösem's night rituals, those forbidden practices where commanders' wives became tools to shatter loyalty. No fairy tales. This was the system at work. Ayşe arrived at the harem at dawn. The air hung thick with rose oil's cloying sweetness, like a trap disguised as perfume. Eunuchs slammed iron gates behind her, their faces impassive masks. Isolation hit like a blow. No windows, just echoes of footsteps and murmurs from hollow-eyed women in the gloom. "Obey the valide," hissed one, his breath cold on her neck. Ayşe felt fear claw in, but she stood tall. Thoughts of Mehmed, their vows under Anatolian stars, fueled her. What about him? Executed? The pressure built. Night after night, new wives arrived, battlefield widows, daughters of rebels. Rumors swirled. Kösem, mother, to Sultans Ahmed, Mustafa, and Mehmed Durf, ruled from the shadows. As valide, she held absolute sway over the harem, a labyrinth of thousands of women, eunuchs, and schemes. Ottoman chronicles from the 17th century, like those of Evliya Çelebi, hint at her web. Archives in Istanbul brim with tales of intrigue where the harem was a chessboard. Kösem wasn't just a mother, she was the spider. She weaponized commanders' wives to blackmail husbands, breaking their will. Betray us, and your woman pays. That was the empire's cold logic. Ayşe overheard it from elder concubines, rituals stripping dignity for imperial loyalty. Rage boiled in her. How dare they? She, a hill-born warrior at heart, wouldn't bend to this machine, but dread gnawed. What if Mehmed cracked to save her? Her resistance burned like wildfire, yet the system loomed larger. Dive deeper. The empire boasted glory, but poison festered beneath. Kösem, a Greek girl snatched young, clawed to the top through beds and plots. She ruled for 3 sultans, survived assassinations, but her weapon wasn't steel, it was taboo. Wives like Ayşe ended up in the harem after military flops. No accident. Chronicles note, in the 1620s, 1650s, amid wars with Persia and Venice, hundreds vanished into the palace. Evliya Çelebi's travels whisper of the valide's secret nights, testing loyalty through humiliation. Ayşe, locked in a chamber with tapestries of sultanic triumphs, tasted the irony. Her skin itched under the heavy robes forced on her by attendants, silk, but like shackles. Eunuch whispers, "The valide awaits. Resist, and your husband's head rolls." Fear for fates, for Mehmed, for herself, churned inside. But Ayşe bit her lip. "I'm no slave," she muttered, recalling Anatolian ridges. Fury at the system surged. Why should women pay for men's wars? The empire peddled myths of justice, but it was a lie. Eunuchs reported everything to Kösem. Her reign thrived on terror. Ayşe tried escape once, under night's cover, but guards snared her like a bird. Isolation's ache grew, mind spinning with doubts. Had Mehmed forgotten her? The psychological crush broke the weak, but she fought. Rose oil's scent teased nostrils, mocking lost freedom. This wasn't harem service, it was a taboo prison. Picture her first brush with the machine. After a week of lockdown, they summoned her to outer chambers. A scarred eunuch led her down halls where walls seemed to whisper secrets. Ayşe walked straight-backed, heart hammering. Then, the sight. Other wives, ghostly pale with vacant stares, stumbling back from the audience. One murmured, "She steals your soul." Tales of rituals, forbidden acts where Kösem, under guise of imperial loyalty, imposed degradations to crush wills. Not brute force. Mental demolition. Ayşe shivered. Her defiance flared. "I won't yield." But the system didn't ask. Kösem controlled the harem like a shadow state. Topkapi archives detail how the valide dictated fates of thousands. Evliya notes, her plots wove like silk around throats. In a mirror-filled room, Ayşe saw her reflection, fighter or prey. Rage erupted. She cursed the eunuchs, smashed a pitcher against the wall, but it only ramped the pressure. Whispers, "The valide knows." She waits. Fear tangled with wrath. The empire, proud of its might, preyed on women's vulnerabilities. Ayşe dreamed of revenge, flames devouring the palace. Reality was harsher. This was just the prelude to terror. Myths of Kösem as the wise imperial mother? Pure fiction. She built power on bones like Ayşe's. After battles, commanders lost lands, and wives became taboo hostages. Ayşe alone bit her pillow to stifle screams. Rose oil cloyed, a taunt of vanished liberty. Her mind battled. Mehmed's memories gave strength, but fear for him tore at her soul. The system worked like slow venom, inexorable. Chronicles confirm, in the 17th century, the harem was political arsenal, Kösem its architect. Ayşe didn't know what awaited in the harem's heart, where Kösem spun her web. Like if myths about great sultanas piss you off. The night in the Topkapi harem thickened like tar. Ayşe, still shaking from her isolation, felt eunuchs seize her arms. "Time for your audience with the valide," snarled the one with the scar, his fingers like claws. They dragged her through corridors where torches cast elongated shadows, the cold marble walls seeping chill through her silk robe. The scent of incense, heavy, suffocating, blended with the acrid tang of fear wafting from huddled women in alcoves. Ayşe twisted free. "I won't go. I'm a commander's wife, not a slave," she shouted. But the eunuchs tightened their grip, yanking her hair. Her mind reeled, flashes of Mehmed, his strong arms under Anatolian stars, their vow of eternal love. "For him I'll endure," she thought, but her heart thundered like a frantic drum in her ears. Defiance blazed within, yet the system knew no mercy. The doors to Kösem's private chambers creaked open, a gateway to hell. Inside, dim twilight, oil lamps flickering over tapestries of imperial conquests. Kösem Sultan lounged on cushions, her face etched with lines of ruthless power, eyes black pits. "Welcome, Ayşe, wife of the traitor," she said in a voice soft as velvet over steel. This was the dedication ritual, an act of dominance where the newcomer pledged imperial loyalty through submission. Ayşe stood rigid, knees quaking. "I'm no traitor. Mehmed fought for honor," she retorted, voice laced with fury. But the Valid nodded to the eunuchs. They shoved her forward, twisting her arm. "Submit, or your husband loses his head," they hissed. Tears welled in Ayşe's eyes, not from weakness, but rage. Her spirit fought, visions of freedom, Anatolian mountains where winds carried rebel songs. But the pressure mounted. Kösem raised a hand, and attendants began peeling away her robe. Slow, ceremonial, the air's icy bite on her skin. "This is for the Empire, your loyalty or his death," intoned the Valid. Ayşe squeezed her eyes shut, dissociating, her mind drifting away, body turning foreign, like a puppet in a puppeteer's grasp. Tears streamed down her cheeks, hot and searing. Not physical agony. This was soul-crushing, humiliation as the ultimate weapon. Why must women pay for men's wars? Sultanate chronicles from the 17th century, buried in Topkapi archives, whisper of it. Ottoman memoirs like those of Naima detail Kösem's harem schemes, where commanders' wives became leverage. Women were tools for blackmail. Their dedication fractured husbands' allegiance, fortifying the Valide's grip. No myths. This was the empire's engine, the harem a battlefield of whispers. Ayşe knelt, though her heart screamed no. The eunuchs withdrew, leaving her alone with Kösem. The Valide approached, her perfumes, a mix of rose and musk, choking like poison. "You'll see how the Empire rewards obedience," she murmured, brushing Ayşe's shoulder. This launched the first wave, psychological terror where body and will blurred in shadow. Ayşe contemplated death. Better to die than this. Fear paralyzed her, for Mehmet, for tomorrow. Resistance ebbed, dissociation surged, the world fogged, sounds distant. Kösem droned of glory, words dripping venom. "You are mine now," she whispered, and Ayşe's spirit cracked. Tears mixed with sweat, bitter on her lips. The ritual wasn't blood, it was mind-breaking, forcing surrender for the greater good. Historians sifting archives affirm Kösem, battling for her sons' thrones, deployed these tactics to undermine rivals. Memoirs from the era, like Tariq-i Naima, record instances where commanders' wives vanished after nights with the Valide, emerging as shells, their tales censored to shield the imperial myth. Ayşe battled inwardly. "I won't break." But the crush was unbearable. Marble's chill burned her knees, heartbeat pounding like an executioner's drum. Rage simmered beneath despair. The system, this machine of power, feasted on her vulnerability. Now the second wave, the peak of dread. Night deepened, lamps extinguishing one by one. Kösem, self-proclaimed Mother of the Empire, initiated the core taboo act. Shadows danced on walls, touching like specters. Ayşe, locked in dissociation, sensed command whispers, soft, relentless. "Submit for loyalty," the Valide chanted, her hands weaving like spider silk. It wasn't overt, it was intimate degradation, veiled in gloom where boundaries dissolved in soul-deep pain. Ayşe shut her eyes, mind plunging into abyss. Mehmed's memories tangled with nightmare, body betraying will. The hurt wasn't fleshly, but psychic, crushing, shredding her essence. Death thoughts swirled. End it, Allah. Despair flooded like a tide, tears pouring, taste bitter as bile. But beneath, a spark of wrath. Kösem murmured of empire and splendor, but Ayşe heard lies, shadow touches, command weights. This was the Forbidden, the taboo that felled the strong. Trauma struck. Ayşe lost a piece of herself, dissociation shattering into fury. "You monster," she thought, voice trapped in throat. From despair to seething hatred, the system, the Valid, the empire became the foe. Her eyes ignited, despite the tears. The pain's crest passed, but the scar lingered. The system's mechanics were brutally efficient. Kösem solidified power through extortion. Post-ritual, Ayşe would return to Mehmed with a warning: betray and lose all. Not isolated cruelty, a network. Ottoman archives from the 17th century, including Evliya Çelebi's and Naima's chronicles, depict how the Valide wielded the harem for plots, commanders' wives as levers, their degradations keys to allegiance. In 1640 to 1650, amid Janissary revolts, hundreds endured her hands. Kösem survived coups, eliminated rivals, all for the throne. Ayşe, slumped on cushions, felt her heartbeat, rapid, erratic, and the bitter tang of fear in her mouth. Her mind roared. Never again. Fury detonated, hatred for Kösem, eunuchs, the whole apparatus. Not frailty. This was rebellion's fuel. Share this in the comments if the shock of censored truth hits you. But it wasn't over. Trauma birthed resistance. Escalation didn't halt. After the peak, Kösem departed, abandoning Ayşe to darkness. Attendants returned, draping heavy robes, suffocating. Ayşe rose unsteadily, fire in her gaze. Dissociation faded, replaced by clarity. Loathing for the system burned like embers. Mehmed's recollections, his laugh, touch, empowered her. For him, I'll survive and avenge, she vowed silently. But soul pain endured. Every eunuch footfall echoed the shame. Chronicles murmur more. Kösem, the abducted Greek girl turned monster, made taboo her arsenal. Her practices, forbidden, veiled, were a woman's edge in a man's realm. Ayşe, traversing the hall, felt marbles chill on feet, incense stinging nostrils. Heartbeat steadied, but wrath swelled. From despair to rage, this breakdown forged a new self. The system believed it had crushed her. Ayşe, reborn in defiance. How far did this web extend? Trauma didn't end here, it led to deeper shadows. In this horror wave, Ayşe grappled with phantoms. The night sessions scarred, dreams of shadows, whispers, agony. Mourning in her chamber, she stared into the mirror, face ashen, eyes steely. "I'm not the same," she muttered. Kösem's mechanisms acted like toxin. Wife blackmail weakened commanders, securing the throne. Topkapi archives, probed by scholars, reveal. In 1648, post-revolt, dozens of Anatolian wives underwent the rite, their fates erased to preserve myth. Ayşe tasted bitterness, fear mingled with resolve. Her resistance evolved, from terror to active revolt. Death thoughts yielded to escape plots. The empire, with its gold and triumphs, devoured souls. Wrath at the Valid surged. "She'll pay." Sensory echoes, thumping heart, fear's scent, kept her alert. This climax wasn't mere pain, it was awakening. Share if it shakes you, the truth stings. But Ayşe didn't yield. Her trauma became weapon. Deeper into the void, post-ritual, eunuchs resealed her. Ayşe lay gasping, mind in turmoil. From dissociation to anger, emotions churned like storm. Peak recollections, shadow caresses, orders like soul knives. Despair clawed. Why me? Why us women? But hatred grew, aimed at the system. Kösem, intrigue queen, erected empire on such sacrifices. Facts from memoirs, Sultanate chronicles outline how the Valide extorted commanders, wives as pawns. In 1651, pre her death, hundreds of cases, censored, so history hushed. Ayşe bit her lip, blood's tang bitter as fear. Heartbeat, a rebel rhythm. Her spirit, fractured, reformed in rage. This wasn't wave's end, revolt's dawn in a victim's heart. Trauma scorched, but empowered. Ayşe emerged from Kösem's chambers, the harem walls closing around her like a vice. But her tale wasn't the end. It was the tip of an iceberg. The Ottoman Empire in the 17th century sprawled from Anatolian highlands to Balkan fortresses, devouring thousands of women in its gilded jaws. The Topkapi harem, an emblem of opulence, imprisoned at least 500 concubines and slaves at Kösem's peak. Numbers balloon. Historical estimates from Ottoman archives in Istanbul tally tens of thousands of women abducted from wars. From the Caucasus, Africa, Eastern Europe, hundreds of commanders' wives, like Ayşe, flooded in after defeats. Why? The taboo system was control's blade. Kösem, fighting to save the dynasty, wielded these rituals to crush revolts. Archives pinpoint. In 1622, her harem plots broke 3 leaders' loyalty during the First Janissary Uprising. Their wives dedicated, rebellion crushed. 1648's Second Revolt, another 100 women as pawns. The third in 1651, days before her death, hundreds more, empire teetering on chaos. No flukes, pure strategy. Picture the scale. Smoke from torched Balkan villages mingled with palace incense, rebels' cries fading under Taboo's weight. Power's payoff was stark and horrifying. The system gripped the empire like an iron fist, shattering loyalty via the weakest link. Women. Degraded wives returned to husbands with threats. Treason meant their ruin. Not just mind games, state-scale extortion. Kösem secured thrones for sons, Ahmed, Mustafa, Mehmed IV. Her 40-year reign outlasted coups and conflicts because the harem became an intrigue arsenal. Evliya Çelebi's chronicles call it the Valide's web, taboo threads ensnaring commanders from Anatolia to Egypt. Ayşe, retreating to her cell, seethed. How could one woman forge an empire on so much suffering? Empathy scorched. These shadowed faces, mothers, sisters, fighters like her, silenced by force. Rage at the machinery swelled. Why did elites feast on the vulnerable? Revolt smoke scent, wafting into Istanbul after uprising news, stung nostrils, evoking blood spilled for rule. The empire vaunted conquests, but its core strength hid in shadows. Taboo as the glue binding a cracking throne. Go further. This wasn't Ottoman alone. Similar threads wove through other dynasties, history's dark tapestry. In Mughal harems of India, under Nur Jahan, Emperor Jahangir's wife, rival women's loyalty was tested in private rites to quash court plots. Archives from the 17th century, whispering of hundreds, degraded to forge alliances. Safavid Persia, under Shah Abbas the Bards, mirrored it. Commanders' wives, seized post-battle, endured purification, power taboos cementing army fidelity. Persian records, like those from Isfahan's Safi, log thousands in 1600–1630, staving off Ottoman incursions. Pattern clear, Eastern empires built splendor on women's bodies, taboo the underbelly weapon. Ayşe, in darkness, pondered sisters in those palaces. Their despair crushed resistance. Fury detonated. This systematic evil ignited wrath. How long had history buried these truths? Victim empathy ached like raw wound. These nameless souls demanded voice. Revolt smoke from Anatolian quells blended with harem's cloy, empire's stench. Now, a modern shadow. No finger-pointing, but reflect. In authoritarian gears grinding masses, women often vanish as unseen tolls. Hidden levers, extortion, isolation, soul-crushing, echo today. Not specifics, but archetype. Elites lock control with taboos pulverizing the weak. Osmanis had harems, elsewhere, different walls. Istanbul archives, unearthed by historians, expose the breadth. 1614, 1651, under Kösem, at least 300 commanders' wives ritually broken, Topkapi docks, where censorship scrubbed names. It explained her wins. 3 quelled uprisings, dynasty's survival. Cost? Thousands of shattered spirits, empire erected on tears. Ayşe felt it in her bones, rage at the machine-spanning eras. Empathy for scattered victims, from Balkans to Mesopotamia, burned. They didn't suffer solo. Revolt smoke, charred village whiff post defeats, hung in Istanbul air, symbol of suppressed fury. Empire seemed invincible, but taboos its frailty. And poison. Scale overwhelms, from Ayşe's freedom-dreaming Anatolian hills to Balkan killing fields where commanders lost wives. Kösem, intrigue virtuoso, perfected it. Her rule rescued Osmanus from fracture at soul-devouring price. Archive facts: 1623 post-Second Revolt, 150 Anatolian women to harem, fates blank to guard Valid myth, wrath at systemic rot, why women footed empire's ambitions, victim empathy chilled, these tales veiled, begged airing. Revolt smoke teased, reminder, resistance smolders under ash. Not lone nightmare, devouring generations' engine. And how many secrets does the history of the Ottoman Empire still hide behind the curtain of censorship? Ayşe survived. A month after the ritual, eunuchs released her from the harem like discarded chattel. She returned to Mehmed in Anatolia, a pale echo of her former self. Trauma seared like hidden embers, nights haunted by Kösems. Whispers, marbles chill, soul-deep scars. But her eyes held a defiant blaze. In their humble home under starry skies, she whispered the truth to him. They break us to keep the empire alive, but we can shatter it. Her words, rebellion seeds, ignited a spark in the commander's heart. Mehmed, horrified, began murmuring doubts to fellow generals, planting unrest in the power machine. Ayşe was no longer victim. She became the voice-piercing silence. Her wounds lingered, but forged strength, proof a shattered spirit can rise. Censorship buries truths about power's dark underbelly, but we unearth them so such horrors never repeat in history. Think of those women, nameless heroines paying for imperial glory. Empathy for them aches, awakening us. How many taboos still lurk in the past? Reflect, because silence is their win. Comment what you think about the Ottoman Empire's taboos. Plus, subscribe for more shocking stories. Hope flickers in truth's light, but tension endures. Have these systems truly fallen?